Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button if you guys are enjoying the content that we're throwing up. And make sure you guys hit the like button if you enjoy the video. And yeah, let's begin. What's going on, guys? This is Rob, and do you all remember when we used to make up our what if stories? I don't remember if we did that many of them. I know we did what if Red Hulk became a Red Lantern, and I know we did what if Batman became Venom, but I don't know if we did any others besides those. But like, you guys have constantly been asking for more of like these what if stories, because here's the thing. Marvel does have a what if line of comics, right? For those of you guys who aren't familiar with this, Marvel really used to have the title called What If, right? They basically looked at alternate reality versions of the stories that existed in their main universe, which basically allowed them to be more adventurous in the stories that they told, because the what if stories did not take place in the main Marvel continuity, right? So it was like, what if Spider-Man stayed Venom? What if Punisher's family had not been killed? That was the kind of stuff that we saw. But making up our own what if stories allowed us to do stuff that Marvel's never done yet, right? Like neither Marvel or DC have ever even done yet, right? With DC's Elseworlds, with Marvel's what ifs. So we can make up our own thing, which is always kind of fun. And so in this video, we're going to be covering what if Thanos got all the lantern rings in the DC universe. What if you went to the DC universe and gained all the lantern rings? Now, Thanos is a character that we always associate with his quest to collect all the Infinity Stones. It makes sense for an interesting proposition for him to basically want to also collect another set of items that would grant him even more power than he already possesses. But I think that we need to start with why Thanos would want to do this in the first place. What's going to be his motivation for collecting these rings? Is he just like a jewelry aficionado wanting to like add some rare pieces to his collection? Is he trying to flex on folks? They see me rolling, they hating, patrolling, they trying to catch me riding dirty, trying to catch me riding dirty, trying to catch me riding dirty. I don't know if that's what he's wanting to do, right? That would be awesome, right? Just like Thanos like rolling around in like some Cadillac with like pink leopard skin on the seats and stuff like that. That'd be baller, right? Like just like a ball in Thanos. I remember seeing an image like that floating around somewhere where he was just like blinged out. It was insane, right? He looked like a rap artist. Like it was absolutely insane. But I think that what makes the most sense here for this story is to play on Thanos' infatuation with death and his constant struggle to win her approval. I picture this starting out with a conversation between the two of them, with Thanos basically saying that he's killed all that he can in the entire Marvel universe and asking what else he could possibly do to win the hand of Mistress Death. And so it's then that she informs Thanos of another universe with billions more souls to claim for her, and then opens a portal to the DC universe. Now, I know it's not the strongest instance, right? It's not the strongest thing to go with. Just go with it, right? That would never happen. You know, like it's comic books, right? Like the Incredible Hulk being able to breathe underwater was never able to happen until it did, right? So like just roll with it. Just have fun with this. But Thanos would basically step through this portal, and then we flash forward to the present, where we find that Thanos is on a ship with Sinestro on board. And what we find out is that Thanos has been in the DC universe for months and has not only learned of the existence of the lantern rings, but has also decided to acquire them all, thinking that doing so will make him a White Lantern, thereby granting him immense power and increasing his ability to cause death and destruction, and in doing so, finally win him favor in the eyes of Mistress Death. So, to help him accomplish this task, he enlists the help of Sinestro, who's made a deal with Thanos in exchange for a promise that the Mad Titan will help him obliterate the Green Lantern Corps. And so we also learn that their alliance has already paid off, with Thanos having acquired 3 of the rings already. And we basically end up getting these flashbacks where Thanos had basically left the Star Sapphires, the Indigo Tribe, and the Blue Lantern Corps in complete ruin, noting that he was able to overwhelm and defeat each of them without much trouble at all. And so at that moment, Sinestro would chime in and say that would not be the case with your next foe. And he basically explains to Thanos that they're traveling to the homeworld of the Red Lantern Corps to confront their leader Atrocitus. Now, undaunted, Thanos would basically tell Sinestro to set a course for the Red Lantern homeworld. And so when Thanos arrives, Atrocitus is basically there waiting for him. And we get to see our first epic fight of the issue, with Thanos and Atrocitus doing battle. Now, as you may know, the Red Lantern ring is powered by rage, and Atrocitus has that in spades and is able to basically mount a substantial fight against Thanos. But as strong as he is, he pales in comparison to the power of Thanos and ultimately falls in battle. And so Thanos would take the ring of Atrocitus and make his way back to his ship, where he would essentially remark that the abilities this ring granted were quite impressive, and that imagine what a more worthy being could do with such a weapon. And so Sinestro would provide a little bit of insight there and basically say that it's powered by rage. And Thanos would basically reply by saying that's something that he's not in shortage of, right? And so Sinestro would say, good, you're gonna need it to take on Larfleeze. And so then we get to Thanos and Sinestro landing on the planet of Okara, the homeworld of Larfleeze himself, the only Orange Lantern in existence. Now, once Thanos steps off his ship, he's immediately attacked by Larfleeze, triggering another epic battle for Thanos. Now, much to Thanos' surprise, Larfleeze presents even more of a challenge than Atrocitus, being able to channel the entire energy of the Orange Central Power Battery itself. Now, the two fight for a pretty lengthy amount of time, right? They would need to, given the amount of power that Larfleeze has, with Thanos, who would basically be using the red power ring the entire time. But Larfleeze is essentially able to match him blow for blow. And then suddenly out of nowhere, Larfleeze's ring would basically shut off, and Thanos would capitalize on the opportunity to take his life as well as his ring. And so as Thanos would turn around, he would see Sinestro wielding the blue power ring, and then Sinestro would basically explain that the ring has the ability to negate the effects of the orange power ring. And then of course Thanos would be kind of pissed off and be like, why didn't you tell me that in the first place? And so Sinestro would probably be kind of a dick about it and just be like, I grew bored and I figured I'd get in on the action if the opportunity presented itself. Later on, Sinestro would overhear Thanos seemingly talking to himself as he passes by his quarters and then would stop to listen. And it would become clear that Thanos is talking to somebody else, bragging about the great warriors that he's slain in her name, but then also remarks that he believes that Sinestro is withholding information from him and does not believe him to be as trustworthy as he first seemed. And so the next day, Thanos' ship would hover over Oa, which was of course home to the Green Lantern Central Power Battery. And he would ask Sinestro, like, is the Green Lantern Corps here? And so Sinestro would reply and just be like, well, they will be. The moment you attack the Central Power Battery, the Green Lanterns will rush to defend it. And then of course, you'll be able to crush them. Of course, now Thanos, feeling like Sinestro was a bit sus, would basically say, well, I mean, I don't have all the rings yet. And like, I was supposed to wield the power of the White Lantern before I launched this attack, right? And so Sinestro would hold out his hand and open it. And in the palm is a yellow lantern ring and would simply just say, my gift to you. By my calculations, there will be dozens, perhaps hundreds of Green Lanterns here any moment. And so surely you can relieve one of them of their ring, right? And so Thanos would land on Oa and make his way to the Central Power Battery. And as he draws near, he's stopped by a detachment of around half a dozen Green Lanterns who basically tell him to get back on his ship and leave, and that more of them are on their way. And this is probably one of the coolest moments, right? Thanos is known for trash talking. And so he would basically say, when they get here, maybe you can use your rings to fashion a green shovel to dig the graves of your fallen comrades. It's an awesome line. Isn't that awesome? That would be amazing, right? So the Green Lanterns would basically ready themselves for battle and they would fight valiantly. But now in possession of the yellow, orange, and red ring, Thanos would prove to be too much for all of them. And so as the ring of one of the fallen Green Lanterns goes to take off and try to find a new host, Thanos would grab it, seize control of it, and basically dominate the willpower of the ring and make it his own. And then basically say the final piece he needs to finish his collection and harness the power of the White Lantern would essentially make him the most powerful being in the galaxy. And so once he puts on the ring, nothing happens, right? And so at that moment, Thanos is confused and angry and then sees a laughing Sinestro. And so Thanos would be kind of pissed off. He'd be like, you treacherous fool, like, what have you done? And Sinestro would say, I have not done anything, Mad Titan. It's your own shortcomings that betray you. Acquiring the power rings alone will not make you a White Lantern. You must master all the emotions of the spectrum to wield that kind of power. Wrath, fear, avarice, even willpower, you do not lack. But hope, love, and compassion, these concepts are foreign to you, and the power you desire will always evade your reach. Now, predictably, Thanos would be pissed, right? Like, he'd be mad as hell, and he would head towards Sinestro. But Sinestro would basically point to the sky where thousands of Green Lanterns are entering Oa's atmosphere. And so, of course, Sinestro would tell Thanos, or he would ask him, 6 Green Lanterns were not enough to stop you, but 6,000? Even a being as powerful as yourself will not be able to withstand their assault. And so Thanos would ultimately know that Sinestro's right. He would know that he basically has to leave Oa immediately. But of course, before he does, he crushes the head of Sinestro with his bare hands in retribution for his betrayal before getting on the ship and essentially leaving. Now, as the ship takes off, the Green Lanterns would land on Oa, and Hal Jordan, John Stewart, Kyle Rayner, and all the familiar faces would be among them. Now, of course, John Stewart would look at Thanos leaving and simply say, we're too late. And Hal Jordan would respond, he'll be back and we'll be ready for him. Here, we cut to Thanos seething on his ship, but then we end up hearing a voice that comes out of nowhere, right? And it just basically says, Thanos of Titan, you have proven yourself a great warrior and a conqueror of death. Come to me, and I will give you power beyond your wildest dreams, right? And so Thanos is like, who the heck is this? Who am I talking to? And this voice identifies itself and says, my name is Necron, but you can call me Death. How awesome is that, right? So Necron would basically go on to explain that he is the counterpart of Mistress Death in the DC universe. And since Thanos has been dead and come back to life, he offers him a Black Lantern ring, which he'll basically use to collect more souls than he ever thought possible. Now, of course, Thanos would basically accept this offer as he's completely obsessed with death and figures that once he has basically extinguished all life in the DC universe, death will finally move him out of the friend zone. And so Thanos takes the Black Lantern ring, goes to several planets, and lays waste to all of them, building himself an army of reanimated corpses before he returns to Oa to finish off the Green Lanterns once and for all. Now, what we end up finding out when he arrives is that Sinestro had begun working to sabotage his plan from the moment he heard him talking to Death, and figuring out that Thanos was eventually going to betray him, Sinestro had contacted Hal Jordan and told him of Thanos' plan to unite all the rings, and correctly predicted that Thanos would fail and then would ultimately discover the existence of Necron and the Black Lantern Corps due to his fascination with death. And so Sinestro would tell Hal that he knows what to do, and Hal would agree. And so when Thanos would land on Oa, he'd be met by basically the entirety of the Green Lantern Corps, but with his army of the undead with him, he would basically have the numbers advantage. And so the Green Lanterns would fight valiantly, but Thanos' forces are essentially gaining the upper hand until Hal springs his plan and trades his Green Lantern ring for a yellow one. Kyle Rayner would trade his Green Lantern ring for a blue ring, and Guy Gardner would trade his ring for a red ring. And so Thanos would see this and then mock them all derisively, right? Stating that he'd basically killed red, yellow, and blue lanterns and would have no trouble doing it again. And so that at that point, Hal Jordan would chime in, right? And he would say, "You have learned to wield the rings, but you don't understand them, right? You are powered by death itself, but we control the light, and light always drives out darkness." And so the group would essentially work in tandem, with green, blue, red, and yellow fighting side by side against the Black Lanterns. And much to Thanos' surprise, he would end up losing control of his forces. And so Hal would then monologue while he's kicking the crap out of Thanos, and would basically say that he knew that the Green Lanterns alone could not win the fight, but that when willpower is in the presence of one or more of the other rings, the effects of the Black Lantern ring can basically be negated. And so he called upon members of the Green Lantern Corps who had wielded other rings in the past and asked them to do it once again in order to stop Thanos and save their homeworld. And so after a hard-fought battle, the Lanterns would emerge victorious, destroy Thanos' Black Power ring, and then imprison him within the Central Power Battery on Oa so that he could probably break out and battle the Justice League in a future storyline. And so the story would basically end that, like back in the main Marvel universe, Mistress Death would be calling up Deadpool to see if he's still single, as her calendar has recently become unexpectedly open. That's how I see this playing out, right? Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section. I think it's awesome. I think it's like an awesome idea. Let me know what you guys think. But with that being said, we're going to bring this video to an end. If you are new here to Comics Explained, make sure you guys hit the sub button to become part of the Rob Corps. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you drop a like, and I will catch you all later. Peace.